I'm going to show you Metro Exodus Enhanced Edition on the PC, and I'm gonna show you undeniable proof that the only way to get a good HDR result here on Metro Exodus is by forcing limited range on the TV. So full on the NVIDIA control panel, limited on the TV. And the reason I'm doing this video is to prove, is to have this as a proof, because so far on this channel I've been just relaxed on my recommendations. I know for sure this works. Do you have the TV? Do you have the PC? Try it yourself. I'm not here to demonstrate anything, but if I really want to make a difference, if I really want to have an evidence, a proof, so we can change, so these developers, we can call the attention to these developers so they do something about it. I need to be more serious in presenting the evidence. This is not for the haters. I couldn't care less. There are some people that on the comments might say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't reply to those comments. You have to understand, since I was a kid, I was a black belt in karate, okay? So I am not used to fight with anybody. Nobody messed around with me when I was a kid. The only fights that I've ever had was in competitions, okay? So I am not used to reply to haters. I just don't care. But I do want to be a little bit more serious in my recommendations and demonstrate to you that what I'm telling you is fact. It's exactly what it is. So let me show you a little bit of a back and forth. The benchmark is going to run one more time, and then I am going to show you what's going on, explain you the settings, and demonstrate to you that this is actually correct, what I'm doing. So I have full on the NVIDIA control panel, and I'm forcing limited. So if I have full on the TV, look at this. It's washed out. Before, after. Before, washed out. This is full range on the TV. After. This is the only way to fix it. And it's not only the black level. The highlights are also going to pop. Before, after. The highlights are going to pop. And this game, and I'm going to show you that proof too, this game is trying to output 2200 nits. So the max CLL is 2200. So by using, again, before, after. So by using dynamic tone mapping off, this is the option that we have to use on Metro Exodus, because this HDR tone mapping off is not, it doesn't mean the TV is not doing tone mapping. The TV is doing tone mapping, and the target is 4000 nits. So by forcing limited range, and I'm going to demonstrate this to you, by forcing limited range here, what we are doing is we are expanding the signal. So that limited range, what this means on the TV, limited, means the signal, we are telling the TV, the signal we are receiving is in limited range, so we need to expand it to show the full range. That's what it means. So the TV, because we are forcing limited here, the TV is expanding that signal. So what's happening is the game is calling for 2200 nits. So the max CLL is 2200 nits. So that 2200 nits becomes 4000 when you force limited. And that's why you will get the maximum peak brightness of this LG C1, which is 800 nits. So let me show you some screenshots, and if we don't have them, I'm just gonna take the screenshots here live so you know that what I'm telling you is what it is. So let's take a look. Let me show you before the screenshots. Let me show you. Let's see if the game is, should be close. Oh, the benchmark is close. See what happened after the benchmark. It keeps running. It's gonna run one more time. Yeah, so I just closed it. So let me show you before the screenshots. Let me show you. Well, actually, let's take a look at the screenshots first. Let's go to where I have the screenshots here. Let me see if I have the screenshots of Metro Exodus saved. Yeah, so this is 1748 nits, max CLL. Let me see if I can find the 2001. It's just 340, 424, 1833. See if I can find the 2001. 2000, look at this. 2108 nits, okay? So the max CLL, so I recorded the max CLL was 2200, okay? That's pretty cool. That's very close. 2100 nits. So what I'm gonna show you now is that by forcing limited range on the TV, this 2200 nits becomes the clipping point when you have tone mapping off. And that's why that's the most accurate setting for this game, okay? Yes, I am saying accurate, yes. I never say accurate because I'm not an expert, but in this case, I can say that with full confidence. So now, let me show you the settings on the TV again, just to verify. I have dynamic, I have tone mapping off, so HDR tone mapping off, and I have the black level and limited, okay? So you will see that with these settings, and I'm gonna have to check the camera to see if it's visible. With these settings, you're going to increase this slider, which by the way, this HDR calibration app has absolutely no influence on the game because the game is not supporting the system level calibration. This is only affecting auto HDR supported games on Windows, okay? But I am using it to demonstrate to you that actually now 2200 is the clipping point, and you will see the logo disappearing the closer we get to 2000. So let me see, let me take a look at the camera and see if this is visible or if I need to lower the exposure. So let me lower the exposure for a moment so you can see that. So I think you can see it now. So you will see I am in 1580, 1600, 1700, you can still see the logo, 1800. So let me see if you can see the logo here. Yes, you can see the logo. So when we get here to 2200, that's the clipping point, 2200. Let's do the same on the next screen. Maybe it's gonna be more visible more easily. 1800, 1900, 2200. That's the clipping point. Let me see if it's visible. It's so dark. Let me see. Yeah, I think it's visible. Okay, I think it's visible. The previous one I was able to check that it was visible. So now, let me show you by doing this. So 2200 again. Let me show you by doing this. We're going to save it. Finish. Okay. And we are going to see here on the settings. We are going to see. Just gonna close this. Oh, it's opening again. So we're going to see now that when we go to display settings, we see here, look at this. On advanced display settings, we see peak brightness 4000 nits. So what this demonstrates is that this 2200 on the HDR calibration app is actually 4000 nits for some strange reason. That's too much of a coincidence that this HDR calibration app has something limited about it. But I don't understand why. But basically what this demonstrates is that 2200 nits on the HDR calibration app is actually modifying the peak brightness of the display on your display advanced settings to 4000 nits. Okay? So what that means is that when you force limited range on the TV and you have full on the NVIDIA control panel if the game is calling for 2200 nits, so if that's the max CLL, you will get the maximum peak brightness of your LG C1, or if your display can do 800 nits, and that is absolutely perfect. Okay, so this demonstrates 100%. So you saw it. It looks washed out. If you don't force limited, it looks washed out. And if you have the game, you know that. You know that the HDR was messed up. and you know that it looks washed out. So by forcing limited range, that fixes the problem, not only near black, but also the highlights are also fixed. And you can also use dynamic tone mapping. It's going to work, but I prefer tone mapping off because it's going to be accurate near black, and it's going to roll off at 250 nits. So it's going to be a much better option near black than dynamic tone mapping. Dynamic tone mapping is going to look overly bright on the darkness. And this game is all about darkness. So there you go, the proof. So we have that documented. If you have any questions, just let me know.